When I was in labor at my sister-in-law's wedding, my mother-in-law locked me in. She is very unkind. Hours later, I woke up in a hospital and she was shocked by what had happened. My husband Richard, 30, and I, 29, were blessed with our first child, a daughter, 2 weeks ago. We are very excited. We'd have been very busy, and we are just getting used to being parents. It's a difficult transition for both of us. Even the joy of May's arrival is insufficient to help me get over the overwhelming fear I felt that day. I believe I would have died if it weren't for my husband's prompt assistance. However, despite the terrible event, I still feel that May was the day our daughter was born. It was one of the most traumatic experiences of my life, and I don't think I can ever forget it. Please be patient with me, as this story may be lengthy and contain many characters. Rick has 2 sisters, Anna and Emma, both of whom are younger than him. Anna is 28, and Emma is 24. May is the first child in the family, so we should be a little softer with them. However, I am unsure, and my judgment is clouded with all these hormones and baby duties, which is why I've come to Reddit for help. I have a cordial relationship with both of them, and I don't believe there is any hostility between us. We aren't close because we are all busy with our jobs and don't see each other very often, but Emma doesn't even live in the same city as us, though we try to stay in touch occasionally and communicate by phone or text. Another significant member of Rick's family and the subject of this story is my mother-in-law, Rachel, a 53-year-old woman. I am not particularly friendly with Anna and Emma. Rachel is a completely different story. We don't exactly agree, and I genuinely believe that she has an issue with everyone, not just me. She is extremely controlling and never stops. She wants everything to go her way, and her 3 children mostly respect her wishes because she was the one who raised them after their father. It's hard to deal with her, so I try to avoid her as much as possible. Rick knows that his mother is difficult, so he lets me help him. She reacts if someone dares to want something different from what she wants, and the reaction can range from disapproval and pouting to a full-blown emotional breakdown with tears and tantrums. She doesn't like me, so she doesn't interfere in my life, and that suits us all. However, things got out of control a few days ago, and it was all her fault. Now, I don't think anyone can ever forgive her. On the day May was born, Anna was getting married. It was a beautiful wedding. On my end, I understand how he feels about her despite her controlling nature, so I let it be. Her husband, Jonah, a 30-year-old man who is Rick's friend, proposed to her about a year ago. Anna had asked me to be a bridesmaid, and I had agreed. But when Rick and I learned that I was expecting, I had to ask her to ask someone else because I knew I wouldn't be able to handle it. This was nearly 6 months after the proposal, so I was only 6 months before the wedding, and I was 3 months pregnant by then. I was apprehensive and tense before telling her, fearing that our relationship would be strained forever, but to my relief and surprise, none of that occurred. Anna was thrilled when I told her, and she forgot about her wedding for a while. When I told her that I wouldn't be available for duties, she responded, "Obviously, I'll be taking care of everything." It was a close call in the end, but she supported me through it all. Emma was the maid of honor, and I knew the 2 sisters were busy getting ready for the wedding. She even thought about moving the wedding because she didn't want me to miss it, which I would have if May had been born. That ultimately didn't happen for a lot of reasons, and honestly, she shouldn't have done it anyway. The only person who seemed a little irritated by the whole situation was my mother-in-law, who, I believe, was irritated that I couldn't be the maid of honor anymore, which disrupted the wedding planning. That seemed like the only reasonable explanation, and I understood her point of view, but the tension, for want of a better word, persisted even after Anna was fine with the pregnancy and my lack of involvement. The bride wasn't upset at all, but Rachel started to bother me in some strange way after that. It was strange, but I thought maybe I was tense due to hormones. She was tense due to the wedding, and all of this was just making up stories in my mind. I tried my best to ignore her, and everything was fine until things literally and figuratively went out of control during the wedding. It was 2 weeks ago, and I was pregnant beyond belief. My feet were swollen, my belly was enormous, and I felt like I was going to faint, but I still wanted to go. I asked Anna if she wanted me to attend the wedding because I wanted it to be her day. I told her that a heavily pregnant woman might draw attention away from her, and I didn't want that. Wedding days are for the bride and groom, and I wouldn't want to be the one to take that away. When I told Anna this, she was genuinely offended and hurt, saying she couldn't believe I'd fill my head with such thoughts. She said she didn't care about attention or spotlight, and that all she wanted was her family to be there to support her on her wedding day. She said I had to come and not worry about drama, and I knew she meant it. She doesn't mince words. If she hadn't wanted me there, she would have been honest about it, but she was, and I felt it was my responsibility to be there for her. I'm not going to lie, There were a lot of people whispering, but I tried my best to ignore them because I knew Anna was happy that I was there, and that was all that mattered to me at that moment. Rachel didn't talk to me much, and she glared at me the entire time, but I was too uncomfortable to notice that I didn't have the energy to deal with that or understand her passive-aggressive behavior toward me, so I let her be. She could glare all she wanted, and I wasn't going to respond. Then came the major incident, which left everyone around me, including myself, shocked and terrified. By the time the ceremony started, I had already met Anna, so I got up and went upstairs in the hopes that it would help me feel better. And when I got back, I didn't realize Rachel had followed me. I was sweating and feeling strange, so I went to the bathroom when my water broke. It was a real flood, and I began to panic because, despite my love for my daughter, she had come at the worst possible time. Fortunately, I saw my mother-in-law in front of me by that time, and I was crouching in agony. We had to go to the hospital, so I told her to grab my phone and call Rick right away. She helped me up and made me sit in the bathroom, so I gave her my phone. That's when she lost it. She said she would make sure Rick arrived an hour after the ceremony ended because she didn't want me to take away Anna's attention. I asked her if she was serious, and she replied that there was no way she could allow this to interfere with the wedding. I tried to grab my phone from her for an hour, but she locked me in and took it with her. So there I was, literally in labor, sitting on a toilet in a bathroom without a phone or a husband. I'm not sure how I didn't have a full-blown panic attack, and I'm glad I didn't because I don't know what would have happened otherwise. I got up and slowly walked to the door and began knocking on it. I screamed and screamed, but no one could hear me because the restrooms were on the first floor, and everyone was seated for the wedding by that point. I screamed until my voice gave out, but no one came. At that point, I truly thought I was going to die and take my baby with me because I was so tired, sweating profusely, and had lost my voice. That's the last thing I remember, and I'm not sure what happened after I felt exhausted. It took me a few moments to realize where I was and make sense of everything. But when I saw Rick crying, I assumed the worst. My mother-in-law locked me in the bathroom while I was in labor, and I thought May hadn't made it. I don't even remember how I got to the hospital, but I know I did. A few hours later, I woke up and found Rick by my side sobbing. Then I saw the nurse enter with a baby girl, and I let out a sigh of relief and began crying in my arms. I was unsure of what to make of it, and I felt like my stomach was sinking. I wanted to yell at Rick for scaring me like that, but he said he wasn't, saying he was just glad I was okay because I was unconscious when he found me in the bathroom. I held my daughter for the first time, and I don't know why. Rick didn't give me any details at that point, which I appreciate because I didn't have the energy to deal with it. I could hear some commotion outside, so I asked him what was going on, and he said that his mother-in-law was outside and wanted to come in. I don't think I'll ever be able to forget that feeling, or that there is any better emotion than that exists in life. I explained everything to him, including how she had put our daughter in danger without cause, and that I would never allow her to be close to my daughter again. To me, she was no longer a part of our lives, and he claimed to know everything. When he found me in that state, she broke down and told him everything, and I told him that just because she did that doesn't mean I was going to forgive her. I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders when he laughed and said that his mother was no longer part of his life from this point on, and that he was going to file charges for life endangerment. He said he would take the legal route and ensure that she was held accountable for her actions. I know that he loves his mother. All three of them do. But after the stunt she pulled that could have cost my daughter and me our lives, I was not in the right frame of mind to forgive her. If Rick had chosen her over me, our marriage would have ended, and there would be no turning back. Somewhere deep down, I thought he might pick his mother because she had done so much to raise them. Perhaps I didn't expect him to defend me the way he did, but I'm not complaining at all. If anything, it has increased my love for him. I asked him if Anna was upset, and he laughed, saying that I didn't have to worry about her at all. She has been beaming with pride and joy, saying that her entire family was at the wedding and that May's birth was the best gift she could have received. I had tears in my eyes when he told me that, and I told him that Emma and Anna were waiting for him to call so they could visit us. He told me to call them right away, and a few minutes later, Anna, Emma, and Jonah were at the hospital with me. The best part was that they were still wearing their wedding attire, and Anna said she couldn't pass up the opportunity to take a wedding photo with her niece. I started crying uncontrollably, and it was such a sweet moment. After the photo, I apologized to Anna for affecting her day, and she hugged me and said, I told her about my mother-in-law's behavior ever since we announced the pregnancy, and Anna said that the only thing I did wrong was not telling them sooner. Perhaps they could have stopped her actions. I told her that I didn't want to cause trouble, and Emma added that any amount of trouble was okay as long as I was safe. I'm crying as I type this because that's when I realized they treated me as if I were family, not just Rick's wife. Anna is one of the best women I've ever met. She is so grounded and content that it's no wonder she's where she is now. I don't understand how Rachel is so different from her kids. It seems like they saw her and decided that's not what they wanted to be. It's strange, but I don't care. It was lovely. The mother-in-law was apparently still outside when Anna told her about her. The manner in which she would ensure that Rick and I filed charges. Mother-in-law wanted to visit and meet May, but I didn't want her near me. Anna said we needed to protect ourselves from her. Anna expressed regret to me for not addressing her mother's overly controlling tendencies or making it clear that she didn't have any issues with my pregnancy. She claimed that perhaps the incident could have been prevented if she had. I told her that she had given me a sense of security and assured me that she was not at fault. During this time, Rick was outside conversing with his mother-in-law. When I was discharged and returned home with May 2 or 3 days later, Rick told me what they had discussed. He said he had told her that he would file charges against her and that she could cry because nothing would change. He also told her that she was never permitted in May's life because she was not her grandmother. In any case, she decided to risk my life and the life of my unborn child over a perceived slight that didn't even bother her. He also said that all of the money he had been giving her, mother-in-law, who was living off of Rick and Emma's money, would be drastically cut. At that point, she broke down in tears, claiming that she had worked tirelessly for the children her entire life and didn't deserve this. Rick informed her that while he knew she had made sacrifices, she was in the wrong, he said, and he had been ignoring or making excuses for everything she did for years, but not anymore. When it came to May and me, she needed to know that she had crossed a lot of lines and demonstrated that she was not safe to be around, especially since Anna had never had any issues. Rachel said that as a mother, she understood that Anna hadn't. We are definitely moving forward with the case because Anna wanted me there to steal the show, but she overheard and lashed out. Rick said he would handle it because I have a newborn to look after and can't be bothered with this drama. None of the siblings are willing to talk to her anymore. Emma only speaks to her when it's absolutely necessary, and Rick and I are obviously not in contact. Mother-in-law foresaw this, and perhaps she truly intended to protect Anna, no matter how twisted it sounds. Nevertheless, I still feel sorry for her because everything went so wrong. Now, I wonder if they should talk it out with her because it feels wrong and heavy to me. Perhaps I'm not thinking clearly, but I know that if I bring this up to Rick, he'll lose it. I'm upset with her and can't even look at her right now. I didn't expect this, but here we are. Well, any reconciliation is out of the question forever. I know I haven't posted in a while, but I've been busy taking care of my child and myself as a new mother. The good news is that May turns 8 weeks old in a few days, and we're all very happy about it. Anna and Jonah have been such sweethearts helping. There hasn't been any contact with the mother-in-law. I persuaded Rick not to press charges because we have too much on our plate and it wouldn't serve any purpose. Rick was hesitant, but he agreed because neither of us has the energy for anything else. Emma had to return to work, but she calls practically every day. May is literally the light of everyone's eyes. They dote on her, and the group chat is full of her pictures. Rick and I woke up at around 1 o'clock a.m. last week, and when we told the mother-in-law, she seemed grateful. I say that because that woman is truly unwell and revealed her true nature to everyone. Rick was going to open the door when I heard shouting, but I didn't dare come out because I didn't think it was a robbery, so I fled and hid with May. I didn't want May to wake up. It turned out to be the mother-in-law, and Rick claimed that she was acting irrationally. She kept yelling that she wanted to see May and that we couldn't keep her away. Rick claimed that he had to threaten her with the police before she retreated. She was attempting to barge in, so we alerted Emma and Anna right away because we thought everyone needed to know if something was wrong with her. However, in all honesty, it was for nothing. She sent us a disturbing text the following day. She began by accusing us of being unkind and unfair to her by denying her access to May and that we were punishing her because her only transgression was being a mother. There was more melodramatic content in the text, and over time, it became increasingly irrational. She claimed that she was burdened with raising 3 children and constantly had to prioritize one child over another. She felt compelled to do this on May's birthday because she didn't want May to overshadow Anna's day. She conveniently forgot that May was actually a fetus, and Anna had repeatedly stated that she didn't mind the pregnancy and wedding taking place at the same time. What shocked me, though, was what she said next. She was concerned that May would become less significant in our lives now that she was a part of it. She thought Anna would be upset when I told her I was pregnant because that's how a typical woman would feel. However, she didn't like it when she saw that we were all excited about the pregnancy and the wedding. In essence, she was saying that she didn't like that we were all happy together and for each other. She wanted us to be competitive and resentful. She said that when she realized the due date would be near the wedding, she felt disregarded, that a baby who hadn't even been born had replaced her as the unifying factor for the siblings. She continued to type and said more things before I asked Rick to block her, telling him she was unstable and not safe for May and everyone else. She had hoped that Anna would be upset with us near the wedding and perhaps that May wouldn't catch everyone's attention, but that didn't happen, and all they could talk about was May. I can't believe a woman over 50 is feeling competitive with a 7-week-old baby. It doesn't make sense to me, and it doesn't have to because I'm done with her, done trying to understand her motivations, and I'm done making excuses for her behavior. She can stay out of our lives for all I care. We forwarded the messages to Anna and Emma, who are also disturbed, believing she might be undergoing a manic episode, and Emma stated that she would travel to a facility to have her mother-in-law checked out. I think this is a good idea, but I'm avoiding her because of her erratic behavior. Update 2. We have a restraining order against her, but we're being cautious. Emma had tests done and spoke with a psychiatrist and a psychologist about everything. I completely understand that and share the opinion that Emma may have had about her mother-in-law. She was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, but that was the only medical explanation for her behavior. The doctor advised Emma to take her to therapy, but Emma has since stopped communicating with her. She stated that she was willing to help if something was wrong, but her mother-in-law's negativity is what it is, and she can't put up with it any longer. We would have offered sympathy and support in a few months if she had a mental health problem, but now that's being ruled out. We know this is who she is, and there's no getting around that. For that reason, Rick and I took out a restraining order for May because we are very concerned about her safety, and her grandmother has shown herself to be unsafe twice. In addition, she has animosity toward May in particular, so we need to be even more careful that they don't come into contact. This will serve as my final update, and I hope to never talk about anything else related to this. Throughout the entire process, this has been the family's ordeal, and we're all truly thankful.